Welcome everyone, and welcome back to Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. I'm Greg Hill, and this is your FISHREP for the week ending of August 30th, 2020. As a lot of you probably saw, last week I was on vacation. If you follow my Instagram, I was out in Vail, Beaver Creek area in Colorado, fly fishing. I love getting a chance to share fishing with whoever I can, and I had a great opportunity to go with my brother, my son, and my nephew. And we went around in the lakes, and we went around the rivers and the Eagle River and did a bunch of fly fishing. If you ever get out there, look up Vail Valley Anglers. They'll help you out. And it was really helpful to us, and it got us set up. You can rent equipment from them. You can rent fly rods, waders, everything from them. They've been doing great by me for the last couple of years. So if you guys get out there, look them up. Got back though. Now I'm getting back into getting into my bass fishing. So I missed it because even though those that are really challenging to catch, they don't pull as hard as a big bass does. I mean, it is a challenge to catch them because you're in the water. You may be walking waist deep in the water, not trying to trip on rocks and stuff like that, catching the fish and landing it. It is a challenge, but they're really finna have great eyesight, but they don't pull as hard. So I really look to get back here and tie in a big fish. So I got back here and I kind of just started off right where I left. I went back out to my deep spots. Went out throwing my deep jig bite, my shaky head bite, Texas rigworm around brush piles and trees that either holding bluegill or crappie. And in the first 10 minutes, I caught a 5.5 pound tank. So it's awesome catching a big fish like that. I miss it, and I caught another 2 fish in the 4 and 3 pound class at the same spots. So that was real quick for the first day. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So just for the next week, I went right back out to my spots, and I'm fishing them. 20 to 24 feet for the most part, somewhere in 14 feet. That's because I was back in some coves and fishing some river bends. That's the deepest water there. But look, the jig I'm throwing, it's a big 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce football head jig. Any kind of bluegill colors will work. And I got a twin grub tail on there that's in pumpkin seed, but I've got the chartreuse, dye on the tails. And you work it into the brush piles, and you work it around them, and then I stroke it to get the bite. The big fish are hitting it on the stroke, not when I'm crawling it. So the smaller fish were hitting it when I was crawling it, but I was getting the bigger bass hits when I was stroking it. So the brush piles are one thing. I love fishing the football head there. If I go to the trees and get into laydowns, I don't like throwing the football head as much. I go to more pointy head jigs, still in a big 3/4 ounces though, to get it down there and working in there and be able to stroke it and make it hot, get that reaction bite from the fish. You'll see the fish down there, and they look like they're kind of sluggish, and then sometimes when you pop it, they just react to it immediately to it. If they've been sitting there to watch it, sometimes you'll see them nose up on it. You'll watch the nose. They don't do anything. They'll just swim off, go back in there again and give it a stroke, and then sometimes they'll hit it. So if I'm doing the brush piles though, the jig, the football head jig, and I'm throwing the shaky head, football shaky head. Pumpkin seed with basically red fleck in it, and got the tail dyed to the chartreuse color, and it's just about a 1/4 ounce shaky head. But I like working that around the brush piles also. I don't like putting it in the trees because it can get hung up more in there. I go more with a Texas rig, and with the Texas rig, it's a plain look, it's a Texas rig, and I'm throwing a kind of purple blue fleck 10.5 inch ribbon tail worm. I'm also throwing the same worm, the 10.5 inch pumpkin seed ribbon tail. I'll throw that Texas rigged also. So I kind of go back and forth from those worms. And then the other thing I'm doing is to get down right in the trees and give a little different presentation. I've been throwing a hollow body swim bait, weighted, just with the belly weight on the hook. You can see it, letting it go down past through the tree, and then kind of working it back through the tree. I haven't caught anything over 3 pounds doing that, but I am catching some fish, and so I think it's just a presentation. You're swimming it through that tree, and sometimes it's not a really slow retrieve, it's kind of faster, and they're hitting on the reaction bite. And then I'm throwing just on the big flats and stuff, I'm throwing a Carolina rig, just a big super flute, and I'll throw this around the brush piles also. So do a Carolina rig. I've actually thrown a Texas rig back inside the trees also with a tiny, like a 1/32. It takes a long time to get down there, but I let it go down a tree and work it through the trees and see if I can't get a bite that way. I haven't caught anything really big that way, like 2 pounders on that big bait, but they've been hitting it, and it's kind of, you know, working through, and kind of, it's not just dragging it through, I'm kind of working it through the tree, and they were kind of reaction striking it. So if I had to summarize what was working this week, in the mornings I'm throwing frogs in the grass. It's been working. Biggest one about 4 pounds. I just like doing a little something different in the morning, because I don't want to start deep, because I'm going to be doing that a lot during the day. I keep a crappie rig rigged up on my deck almost all the time. It's either in my bunks or on the deck. That's because when I find these brush piles or these laydowns, I want to know how big these crappie are. If they're bluegill, that's great, because that's really what I'm looking for. But if I go down there and see something it's a little bigger, I'll throw a little crappie jig down there. I'll catch 1 or 2 of them. I'm trying to catch the crappie in about 6 inches. When they're 6 inches in size, I think the bass really are after them. That's a good bass feeding spot. The bass tend to basically just go in a 30-foot area around those spots. They're using these brush piles and these laydowns as feeding stations. They're just coming into them. So look, if you have your electronics, you don't have live scope, just go mark a laydown and work the laydown with the equipment. Just assume there's a bass there, give it 10-15 minutes, and then move on to another one if you don't catch it. Remember, the bass are always going to seem to hide down there in the root ball area. They kind of hang out there, and they kind of swim with the root ball up to the branches. They'll come grab one, and they'll come out. Remember, they're not right in the middle of that stuff, because the bass are on the outside waiting for a fish, a little bait fish, to make the mistake. The bluegill's going to make a mistake and come out of that brush pile. The little crappie's going to make a mistake and come out of the brush pile chasing a minnow or something, and that's when they're going to hit it. That's why I think stroking it's been working for me, and that's why my bigger fishermen come that way. If you guys had a chance to see my Instagram pictures, right before I went on vacation, I had a sherlunker that was caught with one of my clients. Great fish, caught a couple good fish that night, but that was the biggest one, a great over, and he was able to register for the sherlunker program. So we're really excited about that. So I always see somebody do that. And if you saw on Instagram, I finally got my sherlunker box for my 10-pounder, and it's great to get it. I got my little elite sticker I can put on the boat here somewhere. I'm really excited about it. But if you guys don't know it, anything over 8 pounds or 24 inches, you can register as a sherlunker. Anything over 10 pounds is an elite sherlunker. And then they'd get one over 13 pounds. But I didn't know that changed. I had 3 other fish this year I could have registered sherelunkers because they were over 24 or over 8 pounds, and I missed it. So that's bad on me, but now I know, so I make sure all my clients know about that and do that. Everyone likes to get their name on that list. It's a lot of fun. So that's all I have for tonight. I'm going to go out and do some night fishing here, kind of re-scope out some of my night spots. If you want to do some day fishing or night fishing, please look up my website, www.foblakefort.com. Message me, email me from there. And remember, I have my Airbnb also. We're all booked up from now until September the 20th. I've got 5 days to go from the 20th to 25th, and then from the 27th, I think, to the 30th, there's a days available. So I've got 8 days available this whole month. So if you want to book something, make sure to plan ahead. I've got days available in September. Please send me a message, give me a call or give me a message on Facebook, or send me an email off my website, and let's set up a time to go fishing. Catching plenty of good fish out here, and hope you get a chance. There's not a lot of people on the water right now, so get a chance to come out and stay at my place, or you just want to come fishing. I'm Greg Hill, and this is Fort Operating Base Lake Fort. You guys have a great night.